Okay, good morning. It's November 19th, 2011. I have not put up anything for a long time for reasons I don't really understand, other than the fact that I don't know why, been busy, working, writing, doing things. I don't understand what stopped me. But this morning, I was not going to put anything up on the internet again because I hadn't. But then I read something utterly outrageous in the New York Times, which I thought we had to discuss. Panel finds climate change behind some extreme weather. Here we go again. Global warming. These people won't give up on global warming, will they? They just insist that we poor humans, we little itsy bitsy humans, are causing all this global warming, or causing a lot of it, or some people even say most of it. Craziness. I mean, it's more Al Gore. These people, they lie. They bribe every scientist in the world, and the scientists go along with it because, you know, scientists are known not to be objective or scientific. So they go along with it. Let's try it again. At least some of the weather extremes being seen around the world are consequences of human-induced climate change and can be expected to worsen in coming decades, a United Nations panel reported Friday. A United Nations panel reported. Now, we know who pays the United Nations panels to make these false claims. We do know. It's Barbara Streisand and Warren Buffett. They combine together and they pay everybody to say the world is getting hotter. It is likely that greenhouse gas emissions related to human activities have already led to more record high temperatures and fewer record lows, as well as to greater coastal flooding and possibly to more extremes of precipitation, the report said. More extremes, more rain, coastal flooding, more locusts, more grasshoppers, more everything. Of course. Whether inland flooding is getting worse because of greenhouse gases is murkier. See, murkier. Now the truth comes out. It's murky. It's all murky. Nor, it found, can any firm conclusion be drawn at this point about a human influence on hurricanes, typhoons, hailstorms, or tornadoes. Of course not. Of course not. It's murky. How the Earth evolved is murky. How humans evolved is murky. I've forgotten the thing, I believe so. Interventionism.
Creationism.
Extremism, what's it called? Not evolution, but... Oh, dear. Not evolution, but... what's it called?
Creationism.
I can't think of it.
Creationism.
I can't even think of it. The word evolution makes me so angry, I can't even think of the real answer, which is...
Creationism.
Like divine intervention, like God created us in 1920. I mean, which is probably what he did. Interventionism? No, what is it called? It found, can any firm conclusion be drawn at this point about a human influence on hurricanes, typhoons, hailstorms, or tornadoes? Of course. The findings were released at a conference in Kampala, Uganda. Kampala, Uganda, the source of all scientific fact. Kampala, Uganda. We know who lives in Uganda. By the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, a high-profile United Nations body assigned to review and report periodically on developments in climate research. These reports come at a time of unusual weather disasters around the globe, from catastrophic flooding in Asia and Australia to blizzards, floods, heat waves, droughts, wildfires, and windstorms in the United States that have cost billions of dollars. And they want to say, we caused that? We caused all this trouble? We did not. We were home sitting around the fire, heating our houses, and driving our little cars to work. But we didn't cause this. There's just no way. hotter, moister atmosphere is an atmosphere primed to trigger disasters, said Michael Oppenheimer, a Princeton University climate scientist and a principal author of the new report, As the World Gets Hotter, the Risk Gets Higher. A Princeton University climate scientist. Here you go, Mr. Princeton scientist. Here's what we got to report. That's what those other people do. They pay off all the scientists to say these things. Just believe me. The panel won the Nobel Peace Prize, Liberal Peace Prize, with Al Gore. Of course, with Al Gore, he's always in 2007 for its efforts on climate change, but it later became a focus of controversy related to a minor factual error in a large report that it had issued that year. It has tightened its procedures in the hope of preventing future errors. New York Times is going to, of course, support this bogus international the panel one for the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Well, they've already said what they're for, so they're going to say, oh, we don't find any climate change. No, they're going to find climate change, and you know they're going to blame it on you and me. A new report on extreme weather, one of a string of reports that the panel is issuing on relatively narrow issues, did not break much ground scientifically. Essentially refining findings that have been emerging in climate science papers in recent years. Well, sure, the more you pay them, the more they lie. Indeed, the delegates meeting in Kampala adopted scientifically cautious positions in some area. For instance, some researchers have presented evidence suggesting that hurricanes are growing more intense because of climate change, but the report sided with a group of experts that says such a claim is premature. Oh, the report sided with a group of experts that says such a claim is premature. Oh, they're not getting enough money now. They're not getting enough money, so they're going to say, oh, we're going to claim it's premature, and whoever's paying those scientists gives them more money, and then they're going to say, we did it. Human beings did it. I see. It's all very clear here. Nonetheless, the report predicted that certain types of weather extremes will grow more numerous and more intense as human-induced global warming worsens in coming decades. As human-induced global warming, sell those windmills, sell those things that get electricity from the sun, those little things, what do they call those things? The Rayovac batteries, whatever they are. I'm still trying to think of what the other side of
creationism,
of evolution is. Determinism? No.
Creationism.
Interventionism? No. This has to do with the fact that evolution is a fraud. I'll think of it. I'm so angry about this, I just can't get my mind off of it. What is it called?
Creationism.
I know you're screaming it at me right now. What is that word? What is that word? I'm going to stop right here and think of it. The word, it describes our theory that evolution is full of holes, that there's no evolution, that God created everything about 10,000 years ago. And it's called
creationism.
As I was looking it up on the internet and found that I don't have any internet out here, which I'll have to take care of, I think it's creationism. I think creationism, is that what it's called? But anyway, nonetheless, the report predicted that certain types of weather extremes will grow more numerous and more intense as human-induced global warming worsens in coming decades. It is virtually certain that increases in the frequency and magnitude of warm daily temperature extremes and decreases in cold extremes will occur in the 21st century on the global scale. Now they just turn right around and say, they don't know, and now they say it will. See, they've been paid. They've been paid to say these things. The people who make the Solyndra and people like that lost all their money because they gave it all to scientists to say these stupid things about global warming. The report also said it is likely that the frequency of heavy precipitation or the proportion of total rainfall from heavy falls will increase in the 21st century over many areas of the globe. Well, it's always been like that. Even as such extremes are projected to increase, human vulnerability to them is growing as well, the report said. The report said, money, 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 the report said, yes. Rising populations and flawed decisions about land use, like permitting unchecked coastal development, are putting more and more people in harm's way, the report said. No, build your house right on Fire Island, build it right on the coast in Florida. It's nonsense. The scientists are all lying because they're being paid by people who build houses inland to lie about it so that you won't build on the coast. It's just an inland housing authority fraud thing. It's not going to happen. The report, approved in its final form on Friday morning, is a 29-page summary of a larger document with more scientific detail that is not expected to be ready until the spring. Oh, not until the spring. You see, and then in the spring it'll be the summer, and the summer and the fall. It'll never be ready because it's nonsense. The group's next all-encompassing review of climate science is due in 2013. Oh, I can't wait for this one. In 2 weeks, negotiators from many countries are trying to convene in Durban, South Africa. Oh, Durban, South Africa, another hotbed of scientific discovery, to try, as they have been doing for nearly 20 years, and they'll be trying for many more years after that, to come up with more effective ways of reining in the greenhouse gases, of reining in the greenhouse gas emissions that scientists say are causing the climate to change. Scientists say are causing the climate to change. That's the key to this. Scientists say are causing the climate to change. Now, I'm telling you again, these scientists are being paid to say this. They're being paid by the makers of electric cars, of wind turbines, and photoelectric cells back things to improve their business. And we know these are very effective, successful businesses with billions to give away. Solyndra, for instance, just gave all its money away. That's why it went broke, because it didn't spend any money on development. It gave it to scientists to lie. Analysts are not optimistic about any major breakthrough at those talks. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. At the same time, some countries that had long held out are starting to adopt stronger domestic policies on climate change, with Australia being a notable example. Australia. It passed a carbon tax earlier this month. Well, sure, carbon tax. Raise money. Make up something and tax it. Oh, it's nonsense. Panel finds climate change behind some extreme weather. That panel was paid, and we all know it. It was evolution versus creationism. It wasn't an I, it was creationism. And there's no more proof for evolution than there is for climate change. So just remember that. It's all nonsense. Everybody's paying everybody, except me.